Welcome into Dragon Ball Super Dope. My name is Kyle. Thank you for checking this out. This might technically go out in the month of September, but in my brain right now, we are still in the midst of anniversary month, 5 years for Super Dope this August. So we're doing a special set of episodes with different content creators that I love. That's what this month is shaped up to be. This week, a little bit different, like origin story for how this show got booked. Jackson White of Rebel HQ, TYT. Welcome, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's awesome to be here. I've been looking forward to doing more kind of not as political type of talks with people because there's just so much more going on in life, and also through art, which is really what this is, an expression. You know what I'm saying? So much of what we are can be found in it. So that's one of the things that I think, as I understand it, what draws me to anime, just because of how much is really going on in it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm excited to talk with you about some anime tonight, but I kind of want to give like the backstory. If anybody doesn't follow us on Instagram or see the video that happened, Jackson will sometimes co-host the Damage Report with John Idarola on the TYT Network on YouTube and Twitch. And last week, because the Dragon Ball Superhero movie was coming out, people in the chat started asking some questions if either of them had plans to go see the movie. And then I usually get to watch the show live. I work for myself at home, so like if I'm working during the day, I'll usually throw it on TV, but like I heard Dragon Ball, my ears perk up. And then my new friend Jackson here is like, Dragon Ball is actually kind of garbage. So I was like, hey, man, I know that. Okay, I don't need you to tell me that. And I hopped in the comment section and I was like, hey, man, we know. And by the way, you sound like you know your Dragon Ball a little bit. We should talk sometime. And like here we are a week and a half later doing it, talking about Dragon Ball. But I feel like this episode will be some Dragon Ball stuff. I do feel like we need to get your Dragon Ball opinions out into the open here for me and my audience. But I also want to talk to you more about anime in general, because you then listed off a list of like better old school anime. And I was like, oh shit, man, this kid knows his anime too. This is great. We need to talk about this.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So let me ask you, I usually do like the getting to know you kind of questions, like Dragon Ball style, favorite this, favorite that. But before we even do that, in terms of your origin story with either anime or Dragon Ball Z. I don't know if you have a very specific memory for the Dragon Ball Z first time you watched it, but how'd you start watching anime in the first place?
So, my dad really is who kind of brought me into the anime world. And actually, my parents are a bit older. I'm 30. My dad's 72. So I naturally learned a whole lot from him. You know what I'm saying? Just in terms of him just being older and stuff. But one of the things, he's always been into like, comics, and he grew up like in the golden age of comics and stuff like that. So like, like I kind of was always exposed to like DC type of stuff. He's more into DC than Marvel. And definitely anime. I remember in '99 when The Matrix came out, he was watching it real early in the morning and I was watching it with him. But you know what I'm saying? I think the very first anime I ever saw actually was the original Ghost in the Shell that came out in the '90s.
I think I got that on VHS somewhere around my feet over here. Yeah.
Yeah, that and it came out a while ago. And even way back in the day, I was young and I couldn't really understand like all the concepts. It just was interesting. Like it just seemed like there was a lot going on. You know what I mean? Like there was kind of a lot it felt like there was some deep stuff happening that I just couldn't grasp.
Yeah, it was a cartoon, but like for whatever reason, it felt like a more grown up version of a cartoon.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I mean, that movie specifically, yes, but like, I don't know. I feel that way about anime in general sometimes. I guess they do have like that cutesy little kid shit, but they do for whatever reason feel, maybe it's because like shonen anime being so prevalent, especially in the States, like the idea of so much violence and fighting, it's like, ooh, this is way better than American cartoons,
Yeah. And also too, I think I noticed early on that there's just stuff you can do with cartoons and anime that you just can't really do with live action as well. You know what I mean? Like there's just levels that you can take, animation that it just is kind of goofy with live action, really. It just doesn't really work.
Yeah.
And then shortly after Ghost in the Shell, I remember I saw Ninja Scroll.
That's some violent shit, yeah.
Oh yeah, violent and very sexual as well.
Yeah.
but yeah, but still very, trend setting. And in terms of Dragon Ball, as much trash as I talk about Dragon Ball, I mean, let's be serious. It's basically the greatest anime series ever created.
Oh my God. This, like, what, 5 minutes into the conversation, I already got you to flip. This is a win for me.
I mean, I'm that's kind of some of why, like, and I'll get out kind of what I mean when I say, because what I mean with just my critiques with it. But I mean, let's be serious. Like, Dragon Ball really kind of created the, first of all, power scaling. You know what I'm saying? And then also just that intense fighting. You know what I mean? And that story verse where there's kind of like all this magical stuff going on and these super powerful beings. And it was like different than kind of Superman, because it wasn't like, like peace and justice in America. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
So I think actually I saw Dragon Ball Z before I saw Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball came out in the 80s, right?
Yeah, anime started in 86 and then Z started in 89. What happened was they brought it to America. They did like the first 13 episodes of OG Dragon Ball at first. And then they were like, this is actually moving kind of slow. It's not resonating. Let's just skip to the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, because that shit's pretty wild. And we think, 10-year-old boys will love it. And honestly, to see Dragon Ball Z first, where in Japan, it's probably like very rare. Although, I mean, we are 30 years removed from it now. So either way, in America, it's super common to have experienced Dragon Ball Z first before OG Dragon Ball. Have you gone back to watch OG Dragon Ball?
I actually haven't seen all of it all the way through. I'm most familiar with Dragon Ball Z and everything after. But I think when I first was brought into Dragon Ball Z, I think I was like third or fourth grade or something like that. Somewhere around there. And I remember it was like somewhere in the middle of the Boo saga.
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
So then I kind of went backwards around that time. So like somewhere between like the third and fifth grade, around there. And then I think since I kind of came into it at that point, whenever I would look at Dragon Ball, being that age, it wasn't as interesting to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like going from like,
I actually just talked about this last night or the night before on another podcast. It's because, man, we're in middle school and we're thinking about women more, and we don't want to be associated with Dragon Ball Z, at least not like on the surface level. That's my theory behind it.
Well, I was saying it from that perspective, but like I was saying, like from like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. So like by the time I got into Dragon Ball Z, I think it was just more interesting than Dragon Ball the show, because there's just, the Dragon Ball Z is more violent, it's more fast fighting, they're more powerful, you know what I'm saying? So I think that as I got older and I started not necessarily just seeing like more anime, but also reading more books and learning about like how everything works, whether it be political systems, history, physics, just cosmology, like just learning about stuff. And I think the more I got into that, the more I started to appreciate like things like good writing and like well thought out plots and character development, which is why I like Vegeta so much better than Goku.
Yeah.
And why I like Sasuke more than Naruto. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of the characters, like, because there's just so much more there. You know what I mean? Like, so like stuff like that.
I get that. So like there's a lot more meat on the bone for a character like Vegeta, for sure. And that's actually kind of the point that you'd started to make when I chimed up and I was like, hey man, what the hell? And that was like your response to it. You were like, actually, I'm just so tired. My boy Vegeta just keeps getting disrespected. He's a way more interesting character. And I'm like, oh, we got to have this dude on the show. Yeah. So here we are today, but let's do the Dragon Ball Z favorites, right? So we'll say favorite character first. Is that Vegeta for you throughout the whole series?
Absolutely. No doubt. And because, again, like when you really, think about Vegeta like from an adult mind, you know what I'm saying? Like you fill in a lot of gaps and like think about like what his character really went through. You know what I'm saying? Like growing up and like having to be in such a violent world where he really got removed from what he knew, and he didn't really have an identity. All it was just strength, strength, strength. You know what I mean? And then now it's just like there's like none of them left. And what the hell now? You know what I mean? And like maintaining like his pride in who he is throughout everything he went through, and still somehow, you know what I'm saying? He works like he's just more passionate and dedicated and things. Like there's just more meat to him, like you said, than Goku. Goku's just, and I think characters like Goku are necessary because you have like Goku, you have characters like Naruto that are more simple, that kind of just represent like goodness in a way and like just overcoming things. So like you kind of need characters like that. But like Goku, like after a while, once you see a lot, I think really kind of my frustration with the writing really came in like the super arcs.
Yeah.
Because then it was just like, I mean, what's really going on? Like like the tournament, because it was like the tournament, that was cool, you feel me? But I think that and maybe we can maybe sometime they will, but like maybe they'll make more movies where there's just like maybe a bit more of a complicated storyline going on, where it's not just like, okay, they're gonna fight and whoever's the strongest is gonna win. Like, which that's not necessarily what Dragon Ball Z is, but that's not true because it has been that. You know what I'm saying?
At the end of the day, it's always going to be a martial arts anime. I mean, I like OG Dragon Ball a lot personally because they do a good job of balancing out the two aspects of Dragon Ball that I love the most, the action and the comedy. Yeah. OG Dragon Ball is fucking hilarious, man. Yeah. Dragon Ball Z, though, stakes like sort of, they get raised to these crazy, crazy proportions. And then it gets to a point where it's like, this is what's, resonating with the fans, this like high drama, violent sci-fi stuff. So when Super does come back, or when it did come back, and we are still waiting for it to come back, we're hoping early 2023, we'll see. But when it did come back in 2015, I think that's probably one of its best accomplishments as a series, where all the flaws in its writing and the seemingly pointless story arcs in a lot of ways, because Super's in this point where it's like, the end of Dragon Ball Z isn't there yet. Like, we haven't met Oob. We haven't gone to that Tenkaichi Budokai. We're all just still in this time gap. And so long as they never move out of that time gap, nothing's ever going to feel like it has, real weight or consequence or something like that. But for all its flaws, Super does a great job making things funny and, entertaining, interesting to watch. I mean, Tournament of Power, that was the flaw right at the start. It's like, well, I know that Universe 7's still around at the end of Dragon Ball Z, so I guess they're going to win, right? But week to week, like, you really genuinely had no idea what was going to happen. So, modern day Dragon Ball is like a gift and a curse. Like, I'm happy to have it back, but also it's not very good.
Yeah, and I mean, considering how long Dragon Ball's been out and how much of it there is, I mean, you're going to have some stuff here and there that's not that great.
I say it all the time. Like, there's more bad Dragon Ball than there is good Dragon Ball. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, you got like 30 plus years of content creation. You're going to have some stuff in there that it's kind of going to be themed in a certain way, and it'll phase out, and then they'll do different type of stuff with it. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I see no reason why they'll stop creating new Dragon Ball stuff. You know what I mean?
It's like, a money printing machine for them. They've got no reason to want to stop it. And kind of like get into what you just said, like hopefully they'll start to do something a little bit different. This most recent movie that came out, I think, is an attempt at that, while also playing on the fan service of the Red Ribbon Army is back, and there's these new androids, and oh my God, Gohan and Piccolo, they're the main focus this time. Like, so it seems like they're trying to, I hope anyway, going forward, like, it won't surprise me if they immediately revert back to have it be the Goku and Vegeta show. But I hope they're testing the waters with movies like this to see what fans will watch, because I think we'll show up regardless. Like, you can give me a Goten and Trunks movie, dude, and I'm there.
Yeah, and I mean, think about how much they could do with the Goten and Trunks. Even if it's not, I mean, like, I'm not sure, but like, I mean, they could have like I'm saying I'm not sure if it exists, but I mean, are there like whole Goten and Trunks manga series, or no?
No, they could do that if they wanted. Weirdly, there is this manga. It's a spin-off. Technically, it's called That Time I Got Reincarnated as Yamcha. And like, it's a Shueisha official product. Like, the company who makes Dragon Ball is totally cool. Like, they put this shit out, and it's just about this kid who like dies one day and then wakes up in Dragon Ball Z as Yamcha and is like the strongest of all the characters somehow, because he already knows Dragon Ball Z. He already went through the story of it. So he's like, oh, and this is what I got to do this now. And he like somehow makes Goku like a secondary character. You could make a whole ass, I won't want to call it a fan series because it is like an official product, but you could make a whole manga about that. You can make a whole manga about Goten and Trunks. That'd be cool to see.
Absolutely. And again, like just in terms of like not only it being a cash cow, there's no shortage of what they could do. There's no shortage of the stories they could write or the stuff that they could put together, which again is good for the series itself. But I think out of all, I think the Frieza arc was definitely my favorite.
Does that mean he's your favorite villain as well?
I would have to say so because I think, at least from the top of my head, there's kind of the most going on with him. He's the head of an empire. He comes from a long line of nepotism and extremely powerful beings. He's just a rotten piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like to the core. Like that's just who he is. You know what I'm saying? But like, he had like his the Frieza Force, like he had this federation where he had this whole scheme going on, basically, where not only did he rule over a lot of planets, but he was basically selling them and versus not to say the other villains weren't interesting, but like Cell is just a powerhouse, destroy the earth. You know what I mean? Like Boo, powerhouse, destroy everything. You know what I'm saying? But I like the Boo saga more than I like the Cell saga. Personally,
I think the Cell saga is probably my favorite from like a total, like looking at it from like a total perspective. Like it starts with the android stuff. Trunks shows up, slices Mecha Frieza in half, warns about the androids. Go to Cell. Like that's some of my favorite Dragon Ball right there.
That was the shit. Hell yeah.
I like the Boo arc in the sense that I feel, I mean, this is largely due to the villain in that arc, but it just gets a little bit goofier again. And I love that shit. Like Boo is terrifying. Like after he sheds the fat form and he's he's like little kid Boo or tall Boo who's absorbing everybody, or the Boo who throws up his fingers and literally destroys the entire earth all at once while he's standing on the lookout. But Frieza, I think I'm with you. From like how well the arc is written, I think that's the Saiyan saga with Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, like that's really well written too to kick off Dragon Ball Z.
That is really well written too. That was really good because they did a very good job at saying like, all right, guys, there's a whole lot more going on. You know what I'm saying? Like they did a really good job with that.
Especially after the end of Dragon Ball, of the original Dragon Ball, it's like, you met Demon King Piccolo and Kami-sama, the god of the earth, the protector of the earth, whatever you want to call it. And then it's like, all right, well, where do we even go up from here? And this is something that Dragon Ball has done multiple times throughout its run. But I think one of the most notable times is at the beginning of Z, where it's like, yeah, there's space aliens now, and Goku's got an evil brother. And there's this other guy, Frieza, who just goes around destroying planets and selling them at, a markup, probably. I think the Frieza saga benefits from having the Saiyan saga precede it. Like, I don't think the Frieza saga is as good as it is without all the good stuff that happened, Raditz, Nappa, Vegeta. But I think Frieza might be the best arc. It
wouldn't have meant as much. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think that's really just my perspective on why I like the Frieza arc is because, and you're absolutely right too. The Saiyan saga really built up to that. It made the Frieza saga mean something. Because it basically tied in like the whole story of like what Goku is, what I'm saying? Like in his whole connection to the universe itself, which kind of makes Frieza in some ways, at least when it comes to the main characters of the show, the most meaningful villain.
You just said something key, my friend. Question: do you keep up with the manga at all?
I don't, but I'd like to get more into manga because I know it's great, and I know there's just a whole world of stuff that I haven't tapped into.
Yeah, so
but I am aware that he came back. That Frieza just came back.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Have you seen the memes? Yeah.
Yeah. He came. He all of a sudden he was in the hyperbolic time chamber for 10 years, and now he's
Black Frieza.
Yeah, and he just like put his hand through a gas or whatever.
Dude, it was fucking metal. I mean, it was a terrible way from like a storytelling perspective to round out the arc because he just drops in the last chapter of 22 chapters previous to this. All this crazy buildup, this back and forth. And then and Frieza's like ever present in the arc in that they talk about him a lot. Eventually the villain they're going to fight at the end of this arc, or that they did just fight at the end of the arc. They have a score to settle with Frieza. He's like another arm of Frieza's business. Like Frieza's back to doing the Frieza Force stuff, and he has this gang called the Hida Gang. It's like three brothers and a sister. Go off and do, I don't know, generally speaking, other planet clearing stuff for him, so that way he can turn around and sell planets. So they like have this scheme to kill him. So like they talk about him a lot, but he's never fucking there. There's this whole other character who's like on a revenge quest, and it's like I need to either see him get his revenge or see him truly come to peace with the fact that he doesn't need revenge, which he kind of does. But then Frieza shows up and just literally solves everybody's problems.
Yeah.
Kills both villains. Then knocks out both of our main characters, Goku and Vegeta. Gives jobs to the recently unemployed Hida Gang people because he needs a waitress and like a waiter or something or a bartender on his ship. Flies away, just leaves everybody alone. And like nice guy Frieza arcs in common, dude. Like you hit on it in the sense that the best representation of a villain in Dragon Ball is Frieza when you put him opposite of Goku. In Goku's entire story, Frieza's the villain. And we didn't have him for so long in the at least canon material, or what's considered to be canon material. And then Dragon Ball Super comes back. They do a revival of F movie. Cool movie. Not really. Vegeta should have gotten the W there. That would have been the perfect way to end that movie. But they've since brought him back. That movie, The Tournament of Power, he comes into the Broly movie, and now he's in this arc to save the day again. Like, he, as much as I love the character, a lot of people are sort of feeling Frieza fatigue. So
yeah, and that's the thing too. That's the thing. But again, I think it's easy to solve. You know what I'm saying? Just hire some writers to write about different characters. You know what I'm saying? Like
I wish they would.
That's really all they got to do. But yeah, there's so much they can do with it. But man, it's just absolutely Vegeta's 100% my favorite character in the whole show. Frieza's my favorite villain. I think he's the most meaningful villain. And I think the Frieza arc's my favorite. And definitely, I think you put it perfectly. The Saiyan saga really, without that, the Frieza, it wouldn't have meant that much. It just wouldn't have been the same.
First half of Dragon Ball Z is top tier shit, man. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, I'm like very open about it. I don't watch a ton of anime, either current or like even a lot of old stuff. Like I found Dragon Ball Z when I was like 6 years old, and I've just been tuned into that shit ever since. I'm 33. And so it's been like a long time. It's like my comfort show. I have watched other animes, handful, maybe a dozen-ish, but it sounds like you've watched a bunch of stuff. I want you to make me a recommendation on an anime that you think that I should watch, because a lot of people pitch me on stuff and I'm just like, meh, I don't care, but you seem like a pretty persuasive dude, so I don't know. What should I watch that's like in your sphere of anime that you enjoy?
Well, there's a variety of stuff that I enjoy, and you've probably heard this before and you may have seen it. But in my opinion, one of the best written series I've ever seen is Death Note.
Hell yes, dude. Yes, that's one of the few where I'm like, why bother watching more anime after this? This is awesome.
It was just like, because again, like considering the fact that there was like the complete opposite, you know, Dragon Ball, it's like, oh shit, they're beating the shit out of everything. They're blowing shit up. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like versus this, there's like none of that happening. And just the game that's going on. I think that was just, in my opinion, one of the best written shows of any type that I've ever seen. There's let's see, what else is there? What's it called? Have you seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
I've actually never watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is pretty interesting, especially like once it kind of picks up. So basically, like what they are, it's like there's this world that kind of technologically speaking, it's like they're like in like
it's like steampunk kind of vibes, right?
What'd you say? Who?
Like steampunk kind of vibes, like sort of mechanically,
like in terms of
the
time. Yeah, the timeline, like it's like very early 1900s, late 1800s. But like, who knows what year it is in this world? So basically, like, there's regular people, but there's these kingdoms, and then there's these alchemists, and they have the ability to tap in and like do different type of stuff in terms of powers, like making matter change, that, just like alchemy, that's basically all it is. So the
Yeah.
alchemists, they can do stuff with like rocks and metal and fire and stuff like that. And basically what's going on is um this very old alchemist found this way to become more powerful, but that power was at the cost of many people's lives. So this basically this evil spirit thing found a way to get into a human body, and he killed, I think, like 50 million people to do it or some crazy shit like that.
Jesus Christ, man.
It was insane. Like, he killed like an insane amount of, like, a whole like city state. I don't know if it was quite that. It was a lot of fucking people though.
Yeah.
And basically he set these plans into motion. At the end, it was like, okay, I did that and I became powerful. But now I'm gonna do that again times 10.
So
you arrive there.
Is this show about capitalism, dude?
Well, I guess in some way it is, yes. But that's where the show ends up. The premise of like the villain of the show is basically he's trying to become a god. That's basically what he's trying to do. And he basically is manipulating society, and you follow this journey of these characters who are figuring out what's actually going on. How the city that they work for was actually founded, who's behind it, and there, a variety of these characters come out called, they were representative of the 7 deadly sins.
Okay,
but they came out, and through them you get to the main villain of the show, the main antagonist of the show.
So they're like the mini bosses leading up to the final fight of this guy who's sitting on the dead pile of bodies, or pile of dead bodies rather, to be like the most powerful man in the world, borderline god.
Basically, so it's a pretty good show because there's a lot of fighting, and it's not kiddie. Because one of my problems with a lot of animes is my allergies are kicking in. But one of the problems with a lot of animes is they're just kind of like, they're good, but like, it's like they're kind of cheap. Like, they're just kind of like quick projects. Like for me, like, I haven't seen a ton of Demon Slayer, but I've seen some of it, and it's like,
Yo, I'm so happy that you just said that. That's literally my reaction to that show. I watched the first season of it after my friends beating the shit out of me to watch it all the time, and I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like,
it looks very nice. And like, there are some cool little characters, but like, I've seen similar kind of character archetypes throughout a million other anime. So it's like, I don't know. I get why people like it, but also it's like, like you said, meh.
Yeah, it's like, it's cool. But Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, it's a pretty interesting show. The fighting's really cool as well. That definitely helps. But it's actually, it's well written. It's pretty cool. Like, the way they go about everything. It's interesting.
So Brotherhood is like a truncated version of the original series, right? Full Metal Alchemist, and then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's like a 2.0, sort of like a retelling. Is that a good way to say it?
It's like, it's basically the same thing, but there's a little more. You know what I'm saying?
There's like more instead of less. Okay.
Like the deluxe version. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, because I remember I watched Full Metal Alchemist. I didn't watch it all the way through because I was like, this seems like the same. You know what I'm saying? So I just stopped watching it. So I don't know how much exactly it is, but I remember I started to watch it, and it was like pretty much the same thing.
Huh.
But
you know roughly how many episodes that might have? Okay, if you don't, I can check it out.
30 something, I think.
Really? Is it that short, dude? That's actually an attainable watch for me. That's what makes me like so hesitant to start a lot of anime. Like, sometimes you get like even Death Note, like I think that's 36, 37 episodes. Yeah. It's like, well, I almost said it's like tragically short, but thinking about the second season of Death Note, maybe it could have ended at that time or a little bit sooner. Either way, man, there's so many like high barriers to entry to get into certain animes that I'm just like, I'm all set, man. I'm not watching 700 episodes or 900 episodes of One Piece. I'm sure One Piece is cool, but
I think that because I think I've watched up to like 3 episodes, but it's like, I'm so far behind. Like, I'm not going to watch all of this. And it wasn't, honestly, like, the first several episodes weren't interesting enough for me to want to watch 700 more of them.
Yeah, I watched the first 10 one time. I watched them pretty much in one night, and I was like, I mean, okay. Like, I get that animes are going to start slow. Obviously, you need to build to something, but if your stuff isn't interesting enough for me as a potential casual fan of the show, it's not enough to hook me in the first few episodes, man. Like, I got other shit to watch. It's a
Exactly.
commitment.
I was just about to say that there's better stuff to watch. That now I do like, and I'm sure Naruto Shippuden. I'm sure you watched that. I think
I
that
have
was
not watched it, but I'm weird in that I know I would love Naruto, but also when I look at Naruto, I've watched some episodes off and on. I probably watched like the first 20 episodes of it too. I look at Naruto and I'm like, dude, I remember when Dragon Ball did that. That was cool. And I can't
oh
stop
yeah,
looking at it through that lens.
well, it definitely, and again, that also goes to the greatness of the series of Dragon Ball. Like I said, like there would be no Naruto if there was no Dragon Ball before it.
Damn
Like
right.
just flat out, like it just wouldn't, because you can see the similarities. But I think, but I'll honestly, between the two, I think that Naruto has better writing overall, but there's not as much of it either. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not nearly there. Well, there's a lot of it. I will say this though, like towards there is an arc of Naruto where it's like the Great Ninja War. I don't like that arc at all.
Oh, really? I mean, I'm familiar with some of the names of the arcs, and I've heard people
Yeah,
rave about that arc. What don't you like about it?
it's just like it could have been a lot less of it. Like a lot of the episodes are just like, okay, why was like what's it just wasn't that. So I'll put it like this: before the Great Ninja War, like so much was building up. You didn't really know what was going on, and it was just really fucking cool, man. Like it was just cool. You know what I mean? Like what was going on, the story, what was happening. And again, Sasuke, he between Naruto and Sasuke, he's so much better of a character. Naruto is kind of like this, like he's kind of like Goku in the sense of
He's got the Goku orange on and all.
exactly. But he has this like it's called a Chinchuriki, but he has like this evil, very powerful spirit inside of him, which is some of what makes him so powerful. And Sasuke is basically just like a badass who's like way smarter than Naruto. He's more of a skilled like Naruto's just more like overall like way more power, but Sasuke is like a more intelligent, more cunning. He has more tricks up his sleeves. He has more at his disposal. They're kind of like the two most, they end up being the two most powerful, but they're very different. Sasuke's more realistic, like in terms of how his life affected him. Like his whole clan, and his brother ended up killing his whole clan. And his brother Itachi, actually, Itachi, I think, is probably maybe one of my favorite characters in all of anime. And he's not in the show that much. You know what I'm saying? Like
So,
he's
what
only
makes him stick out to you? The fact that he murdered all these ninjas, or is he just a kind of a badass? Like, what's the deal?
well, he's the ultimate badass, but there's a lot of things like the stuff flips with him. So you think he's evil, but he isn't. You know what I'm saying? Like he kills. There could have been other things that were done, but basically, his clan is the Uchiha clan, and they're very powerful, but they really ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they're kind of just like they're not that great. And they basically had this plot to take over the whole like city, the whole society, basically. So there were other ways that they could have dealt with that, but basically it ended up being like just kill all of them. Um, and he ends up joining this organization called the Akatsuki. And the Akatsuki basically were like the ultimate antagonists of the whole show. And then later, which is some of kind of why I ended up not liking the Great Ninja War arc, they kind of started doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Huh.
was cool, and then it was like, no, it's actually Madoru Chia, and then it wasn't just Madara. No, it's Lady what's it? I don't even remember her name. There was just too much going. I was like, okay. But the Akatsuki was basically this group of rope ninjas belong to like different villages. So you had the Leaf Village, the Sand Village, and they belong to different nations. So basically, the ninja clans protected the nations.
Okay.
That's basically what they did, because not everybody in the ninja world had, they call it chakra. They didn't have like all those ninja powers. Only some of them did. People within the clans, and the clans basically like the same thing with, like, you know how Japanese and feudal times they would protect their art. That's what the clans did, but they protected each nation. And so basically what the Akatsuki were like some of the most powerful ninjas from those villages who went rogue.
Okay.
And and basically the ninja world, the whole premise is the ninja world, which is why it was so good, because it kind of looks at like just what we do in the real world with war. Like how peace at what cost? You know, some villages live in peace while others don't, because of what, you know, these villages went through. All these people who got killed and all these people who lost everything so that you could grow up in peace. And so basically, like, it's people like that who come together to basically, they want to destroy the ninja world, because in their eyes, all the ninja world does is create death and war and an endless cycle that basically can't be broken, which in a lot of ways is the
That's the
truth about
world
humanity.
we live in. Yeah.
It's not just the truth about humanity. Honestly, it's kind of, life is always at war with itself. So we're just a bit more socially sophisticated, but that's why the show is so interesting, because the premise of the Akatsuki was like, we want to destroy this ninja world so that we can make a better one, which is why you see why they actually were evil, because it's like, we're going to remake it in our image. But
yeah, we're gonna burn every one of you motherfuckers down so that way we can be in charge and do it our way. Even if
so
we feel that way's better, it's like still pretty evil motive at the start, bro.
Yeah. So Itachi was a member of the Akatsuki, but he actually was a double agent. He was reporting the Akatsuki's, like, but you didn't really know that until after he died. You know what I'm saying? You didn't know that till long after he died. So like,
interesting.
So he stayed present in the show, kind of like how you were talking about Frieza before he came back. He was present in the show even when he wasn't, but he's just so well written.
Yeah, his influence is felt throughout, but just the fact that they could add that little detail after he's long gone from the show or the series, whatever, and like retroactively make his character so much fucking cooler. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
for him to have the foresight to know not only to play both sides, but also how to play both sides. Like that, he sounds like a pretty badass character, man. I can see why you would like him.
Because he was committing atrocities while, you know what I'm saying? Like, he had to go through that. And you found out, oh, this guy's actually, like, he was just like a loving, sweet kid, you know what I'm saying, who got sucked into all this shit. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, so, but yeah, I think Itachi's probably one of my favorite characters of all time. And I'll say this too. The fighting in Naruto, the Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, I think, have the best fighting out of like any show I've ever seen. Like the way that they choreograph the fighting in Naruto is like it's cool, man.
Makes Dragon Ball. It's the father or the grandfather, however you want to look at it. Makes Dragon Ball proud.
Yeah, like they're much more like, I would say overall they're definitely more powerful than Dragon Ball, because you know they're like blowing up planets and like, you know what I'm saying, like stuff like that in the Dragon Ball series. But like,
oh, okay, I misunderstood you for a sec. I was like, holy shit, they blow up planets in Naruto? I don't think I've heard.
No, they're not that powerful, but weird. They're like, it's just very martial arts focused, which I guess a lot of anime is. But it's, I think you would like it. You kind of would have to watch Naruto first, which isn't as good as Naruto Shippuden, but you really could just watch Naruto Shippuden and not watch Naruto.
Yeah, because it's like the slimmed down version. It's like Dragon Ball Z Kai is to Dragon Ball. It's like the canon only material or whatever.
Well, Naruto basically is like Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball. So Naruto Shippuden is like Dragon Ball Z, and Naruto is like Dragon Ball. That's basically what it is. So Naruto is like their kids, and then in Naruto Shippuden they're a bit older, and time has gone by.
And then we've got Boruto in today's world, which is like,
I don't like Boruto.
No, I've tried like looking at some chapters of it. Like the character design for Boruto himself, I look at him like, nah, I can see why you guys keep bringing in Naruto to this series. I get it.
Yeah, it's basically like it's still the Naruto show. And I honestly, I like Boruto so little that whole time I was talking about Naruto, I didn't think about it at all.
You try to separate it entirely, yeah.
It's just I don't like Boruto at all. I think it's cheap. I think it's a cheap knockoff of Naruto. It's like Naruto, but they're children. Like, oh, okay, like
yeah. You know I bet you half my audience is like, what the fuck did he just say? Thinking of my friend Rayshawn right now. Rayshawn does a lot of the manga reviews for me that I do each month, and we've done a bunch of shit together in the last couple of years. But he, on his own show, he does more like general anime stuff, but he fucking loves Boruto. And it comes out roughly on the same day as Dragon Ball does each month. So like I get to hear about it from him a little bit, or he's just freaking out about how much he enjoyed it, loves it, or whatever. We're kind of coming up on the next question I wanted to ask you, though, just sort of organically, like talking about what shonen anime is and like how it is, you know, heavily martial arts influence stuff, whatever. It's become such a thing in the West over the last 25 to 30 years with, I feel, every race, but for whatever reason, and I want to get your thoughts about this because obviously you're a political contributor to the Young Turks, you're a well-educated man, like you know what you're talking about in this respect. Why would you think, or why do you think that Dragon Ball Z, shonen anime in general, resonates so heavily with young black men and young Hispanic men? I have like this sort of theory about, especially with Dragon Ball Z, the theme of Dragon Ball Z is consistently overcoming adversity and always overcoming your upward limits and becoming better and stronger all the time. And I have a theory that resonates specifically within those communities, but I wanted to know what your thoughts were on that. What do you think it is that they love about these series so much?
Pretty much what you just said. I mean, that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? Like, long
big
story
brain
short,
confirmed. I'm so happy that you just did that. Thank you.
But that's basically it. Especially like you said with Dragon Ball Z, because they're always working towards bettering themselves. And you know, when you look at a lot of black communities, often much of, not necessarily whether it's true or not, you know, you'll think that your way out probably has something to do with physical activity. So like so many, especially my world, like, you know, I was an athlete, I'm still an athlete. You know, a lot of my friends went to, you know, were professional athletes. I had interest in other things overall, mainly. But, you know, like I grew up in that world, and that's pretty much a lot of what it was. It was like they just represent strength, and like they take losses, but it's just a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not really like that big of a deal. It's like, it's just part of the game. It's like, you know, I still box. You know what I'm saying? Like you get hit. Like even when you win, you in there getting your ass kicked. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. So like, and I think that's why it still resonates to this day. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause it's like, it's just kind of, I think, you know, it really taps into part of your just masculine nature. You know what I mean? Like, and especially too when you are in a position to where you know you really have to work hard to make something of yourself, then I mean what better kind of entertainment role models are there?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
just natural inspiration when you know, tune into those stories and see that, man, Frieza just killed all this dude's fucking friends, but here he is still fighting on, getting the crap kicked out of him for 60 episodes. Somehow he overcomes still. Like as tiring and as exhausting as it was, Goku still gets up every goddamn day and does the thing.
Yep. And that's really it. And I think that's important too. You know what I mean? Like it's I'm like that definitely was more inspirational to me than like anything in like the DC world or anything like that was. It's very different too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's also very different. Like Batman's like a detective. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
yeah, and Superman is somebody who's like so pro America and like pro good. Superman. I mean, he can be boring. Weirdly enough, I've said this at least a couple times this month, but for those who don't know, Jackson included, I was almost named Kal, like Kal-El, Superman's Kryptonian name, but they just stuck me with Kyle instead. Way fucking less cool name. But Superman's right. Like the big blue Boy Scout part of Superman, like those types of characters, even Batman, like doing stuff from the shadows and being real smart and really advanced with his tech and his research. And yes, he's also skilled at like 50 different types of martial arts. Like those are just different types of characters, or those characters affect you in different types of way than
Absolutely.
goofy ass Goku, who I don't know, regular Goku and like slice of life moments of Dragon Ball Z. It's like genuinely enjoyable for me to watch. It's funny, it brings me joy, but at the same time, I can really enjoy that character in a completely opposite sort of circumstances, back up against the wall, and like still, I don't know, it just resonates with me more personally for whatever reason.
Yeah, definitely. And again, especially in that way of just, that something's got to keep you going forward. You know what I'm saying? Because until it's over, like we hear, so it's like, like you're gonna wake up. So it's like you need that representation again. Like for instance, like Batman. Batman's one of my favorite just characters. Period. I think he's very well written, especially the more adult stuff. Not necessarily like his relationships with, but like just like who he is as a character. You know what I'm saying? But again, it doesn't inspire and motivate in the same way because it's not the same. He's like, it's just a different type of entertainment. It stimulates you differently.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was trying to think about it just now. I'm like, I just feel like I relate to Goku more. And then I'm like, wait a minute, dude, I got about as much in common with Goku as I do with Batman or Superman. That's strange, but I think that's what it is. It's like different type of entertainment, whatever resonates in your brain differently, and anime hits a lot of those boxes for people. So,
Yep.
um, cool, man. Thank you for giving my theory some validity. Like I feel
Oh
like
no, 100%.
cool, man.
100%. That's why that's why we grown and we still rock with it. You
Hell
know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like definitely for sure. But
Onward.
yeah, no, most of again, like no doubt Dragon Ball Z is I mean, isn't it the most successful anime series ever? Like by far?
I'm pretty sure, like fiscally speaking, yes, worldwide at least, because it's huge in the West, it's huge in Latin America. It's no longer the most successful anime in Japan. I think that cake pretty much goes to One Piece, maybe Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen is another one. Jujutsu Kaisen.
Have you seen Jujutsu Kaisen?
I have not. That's why I can barely say the name. But I
I've
do
seen
have
I've
friends who
seen
are
some
super
of
into
it.
it.
I've seen some of it and it's interesting, but honestly, it's another one of those.
Yeah.
Like it's good, but it's just not like it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like it's a good show, but it seems like something a very big company made. Like, well, we got all this money, well, let's just make it. It doesn't seem like a something that came out of somebody's soul.
Well, that's
You know what
modern
I'm
day. That's
saying?
modern day Dragon Ball, man. Like old Dragon Ball came out, and I think maybe I think this speaks to like the generational approaches to making anime in Japan. But like Dragon Ball back then was such a spontaneous thing that Toriyama wrote every single week to week. He didn't really know where the story was going at any point in time. Flash forward to 2015, they're like, "Hey, we can put your name on this, Akira Toriyama. Sick. We have like a money printing machine now." And I think that that's, I mean, ultimately, it's always the goal, right? To make money. But when people go into make a series with the perspective of, I'm going to make this thing the biggest thing in the world, and I know how to do it because I've done it with different animes and mangas in the past, it's like, you're coming out of the factory without any soul. Like you were made for
Yeah.
the sole express purpose to make us as much money as possible, not because you have a really good or interesting story to tell.
And that's pretty much again like Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like again, I haven't seen the whole thing, but basically the premise is like there's this old evil guy and he's trying to come back into the world through this other guy he's trapped inside of. And like this kid's being held hostage by this organization he's working for. Like it's cool. Like again, I haven't seen a ton of it, but it's like it's cool. Like it's cool, but it's just like a quick again, that's what it feels like. It feels like a franchise. It's a franchise.
Yeah.
Like, like
If it
it's that
doesn't hook
that
you can't force something to hook you, man. Either it does or it doesn't.
yeah. So it just and again, that's not to say it's not good because I enjoy watching it. You know what I'm saying? But like I haven't watched the episode of Jujutsu Kaisen in like 2.5 weeks.
And you're not
If it
worried
was
about getting back to it, are you? You're like, oh, I'll get
no,
back to it when I get back to it.
no, yeah, I'm not really concerned about it. So yeah, no, I just Yeah, it feels to me like just the same with Demon Slayer. It feels like something a very big company made because they have to make stuff.
You ever watch My Hero Academia?
I have seen that.
You okay? Well, that's like the only other podcast, or excuse me, only other anime I mostly cover on this podcast as well. When that's in season, what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on MHA?
I think that my favorite character I think is Bakugo. Probably, I
Yeah,
think
because
that's
he's the Vegeta Sasuke archetype. Like,
yeah, exactly. Um, I think it's pretty interesting. It's very entertaining. It's definitely very entertaining. I watched it all the way through, up to, I think I haven't seen some of the newer ones, but that's one of the I kept watching it, and I think that there's the dynamic between All Might and what's the second strongest guy's name, the Fire.
oh, Endeavor, yeah,
Endeavor. That's an interesting dynamic too. You know what I'm saying? Because like Endeavor's kind of a piece of shit,
yeah.
but like, but he's useful, but he's kind of like, you know what I mean? And like his relationship with his son and his family, and then Bakugo's relationship with Deku. So there's some interesting stuff going on, but I think to me the two greatest animes that in my mind are Dragon Ball Z and Naruto Shippuden. I think those two by far and away are just the two, like, man, they just meant the most, because it was just like when you first started Naruto Shippuden, and it's like you're following the storyline, it has you hooked. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good, man. That shit's cool. I recommend it.
Maybe I mean, at the beginning of this, I was thinking, man, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I could probably squeeze in 30 or whatever. But like, if it's Naruto Shippuden, maybe I'll try that, because I'm pretty sure I tried like the original Naruto and I was like, this is moving really slow. I mean, 8-10 episodes.
Naruto Shippuden starts off pretty quickly because you're picking up, like, Naruto ends basically with Sasuke leaving the Leaf Village. Naruto tries to stop him from doing it. He leaves with this guy named Orochimaru, who is basic. In Naruto, he's like the main antagonist, but then in Naruto Shippuden, he's not. But he wants to basically take over Sasuke's body at some point.
Creepy. Sounded worse than you meant it, but I got what you meant.
Yeah, He's trying to basically, because that's what Orochimaru does. Basically, he's very powerful, but he's very smart, and he's like a scientist. So he's always trying to find ways to like make himself more immortal and more powerful, and kind of to stay alive, he has to kind of keep switching bodies.
Yeah, I think you hit on something in talking about MHA that I just wanted to underline. It's something I say all the time, but it kind of also speaks to like the genesis of this conversation, and talking about how Dragon Ball is not like the best written thing in the world, and we're all aware of it. The thing that I've always loved about Dragon Ball, and it's always kept me interested, is exactly what you were just talking about: the character dynamics and different relationships that characters have with one another. And at any given point in time within the story, it can change, depending on which side of the fence a character's on, good or bad. Are they cool with Goku? Are they not cool with Goku? Whatever you want to say. But watching the characters interact for whatever reason, like Goku and Vegeta is the perfect example of it. I'll never get tired of watching those two go back and forth. Like,
right. Vegeta calling him an idiot. Yeah, I'm the only one calling him Kakarot.
It's the Saiyan odd couple. Like, literally, it's anime, manga, odd couple. But like, those character dynamics has always been the things that have kept me interested in Dragon Ball, for all its faults as a series or as a storytelling, or as boring or as bland as some of the stories can feel sometimes. MHA, I think that is one of the things that really hooked me about it, was like Endeavor and All Might. That's the coolest. Bakugo and Deku, another great example. Yeah. Todoroki and Deku, another really interesting dynamic. Like, I don't know, man. I'm excited to see. I think it's season 6 starting, I believe, in October for MHA. So I'm excited for that, man. But I guess we'll see what happens in the future arc. We're recording this on Thursday night. It is the 25th of August. Okay, so like I said, this is still technically an August episode, even if it does come out the first week of September. But the reason I gave you the date is because earlier today, President Joe Brandon, accidentally maybe, but he relieved a bunch of student debt, $10,000 a person. And I'm somebody who doesn't have student debt. I made the decision to not go to college because I knew that I couldn't deal with being straddled with $200,000 in debt for probably would have been a music degree if I'd gone to college out of high school. I'd at best case scenario be a music teacher right now, and I didn't. The cost benefit analysis didn't really line up, dude. So I say this is somebody who does not have student loans. I'm happy people are going to get some relief on it, but I've just seen so much like bullshit responses in terms of like my own social media ecosystems. People who are upset that because they paid off their loans or they didn't have to pause or defer during the pandemic, they kept up with their payments. They think it's fucked up that we're now all going to be on the hook for all this free education, all $10,000 on top of it. So I wanted to get your thoughts on it and kind of help me understand better, and also my audience understand better why this is a beneficial thing for us as a country.
Well, overall, first and foremost, there's much more debt going on than just student loan debt. You know what I'm saying? There's general household debt, there's credit card debt, and a lot of corporate debt. Despite all the tax breaks they get, despite all the breaks they get in general, there's just debt going all around. One of the problems with the student loan debt is that it's not being paid off, and people's educations, unless it's more in like a traditional field, and I didn't finish school either, I made it work, but there's still definitely benefits of having a degree. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's within certain fields. Now, if you want to be like a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, then that's kind of something that's, you need a degree for that. But a lot of people obviously are getting degrees and they come out and they can't necessarily get a job that matches it. And a lot of that is because the education system doesn't really prepare people for the modern job market or the future job market. So I say all that to say we're accumulating debt that really serves no purpose. Like it's just like an endless pile that's just going to continue to grow because
I'm sorry, it just functions as a ball and chain to keep people subservient in their jobs, paying their shit each month. That's my theory anyway.
I mean, that's how it functions. You know what I'm saying? That's how it functions, again, because the education system as a whole really hasn't been updated in a very long time. So again, like we live in a gig economy, we live in a contractor's economy. Pretty much most of the money I make is through the contractual situations.
Same here.
You know what I mean? So it's not the education system, again, since it doesn't tailor people to that overall, it's just accumulating all this debt. So long story short, if it's just 10,000, I'll say more what the bill does now, but even if it's just $10,000 less, let's say you're someone who has $50,000 of student loan debt. That's $10,000 less. That could be 3 years less of paying that you have to pay, which automatically means that you can put more money into the economy for a variety of reasons, whether it be buying more goods, whether it be buying more assets, putting your kids through school. And then, the whole inflation argument's nonsense because people haven't been paying their student loan debt since March 20th of 2020.
There you go. That's a great point.
I mean, it's really the only point that needs to be made about that. So you got to keep in mind too, anytime anything remotely beneficial is done for the general public, they're going to have their special interest corporate economist douchebags come on TV and say, helping people is bad. So, again, the whole notion of, if people stop paying some of their student loan debts, it's going to, rise inflation. Oh, well, genius. What about the last 2 years where nobody's paying their student loan debts? And the fact that inflation's high, mainly because of the supply chain crisis, because nobody manufactures things domestically. Inflation is happening all over the world, not just here.
Yeah, supply chain issues that are exacerbated by the idea that the U.S. Postal Service has been fucking gutted in favor of privatization and that system and that's just here in America. Never mind all of the external factors outside of our country. Like it's a fucking mess for shipping right now, man.
Yeah. So again, just in general, the argument about, this is going to hurt the economy, that's BS. If it was so outside of that, again, the argument of, well, I pay. If your argument is that I paid my student loan debt, so why should anybody else not have to? It's really just not a good argument. It's not a serious argument either. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
childish.
It's very childish. Because first and foremost, there was a time when women couldn't vote, and then they could. So what are the women who like? Well, it was 5 years ago that none of us could vote. Now you could like. It's basically the same concept. So what? There should be no progress just because at one point things couldn't happen. So and honestly, it's obsolete. It doesn't matter. So that's like
the analogy I heard on that I really like and it resonated with me was, oh, they eradicated cancer. Oh man, I had to go through cancer treatment. Like I had to pay for my cancer treatment. Like it's fucked up that I had to go through cancer, and now that they have this treatment for it, what's that?
Exactly. And again, the truth is like, especially as someone who works in politics, like that's something that I wouldn't even entertain that argument. I wouldn't have it with someone because it doesn't matter. And two, like when it comes to politics, it's about getting those W's or not. You know what I'm saying? So like for all the people that this is going to benefit, that's really what's more important. So it's like there's much less people making that argument that, oh, I paid my debt. That's really not that. So again, that's another reason why it's like, okay, you can make that argument, but it really don't mean nothing.
Yeah, it's not super common.
Yeah. So basically what Biden did is for anybody who makes up to $125,000 a year or households that make up to $250,000, $10,000 will be forgiven. If you have a Pell Grant, then up to $20,000 is forgiven. Once student loan payments restart in December, before this, people had to pay 10% of their student loans every month.
So they had 10% of their income each month towards student loans, or Jesus.
Yes, exactly. They had to pay 10% of their incomes. Now it's 5%. So,
which is helpful. I mean, I don't think it's the biggest thing they could have done. I mean, I think a lot of people were expecting like a higher amount overall, but the 10% cap versus a 5% cap, that's got to be huge for some people.
Oh, definitely. And I think overall it's important to note that Biden ran on $10,000. He didn't run on 50,000. He didn't run, you know what I mean? So there's always room for more. The thing about political involvement, it's always better candidates. You know what I'm saying? Like at whatever level of government it is. So, but yeah, so that's basically what it is, and again, it's $10,000 for people that could be years less of that loan they have to pay, which ultimately means more money in their pockets to do all types of stuff.
So like I worked in the mortgage world for like 7 or 8 years, and shit's a little traumatic sometimes, but I tend to think about these types of transactions of like as like a refinance almost, because I did a lot of refinancing of mortgages, right? So if I were the person in charge of this, I would do something to the effect of like, remove that $10,000 budget, or excuse me, $10,000 credit to somebody's balance, and then you would refinance it into either a longer term or a more favorable term. Do they do anything in terms of interest rates? Because interest rates on privately owned loans, man, like that shit can be pretty ridiculous. Any word on that? I wasn't sure.
Other than the percentage change, I'm not sure that off the top of my head. I don't know if the interest rate changed. That wasn't like highlighted in anything specific that I saw. So if it did, then that's probably going to be some type of variable thing depending on your situation. But in terms of like any of the main stuff that the bill does, I didn't see anything in regards to that. So,
the fucked up thing about higher education in this country is, that we pay for it, but also that 18 years old, like I'm 33 now, and I still don't ever really think I know what I really want to do. Never mind asking that question to an 18-year-old who just finished the 12th grade. And like, yeah, you have to go to college. Like it's ingrained in people in the system to like make sure they go to higher education, or else their lives will amount to nothing, or whatever it is, whatever scary stories they tell the kids, right? And then they're like, oh, by the way, here's $200,000 in debt. Good luck paying that for the rest of your life. Good luck filing bankruptcy because that shit's not going anywhere. It's a mind-blowing concept to me, the privatized education, higher education in this country. Jackson, you have been so welcoming and fuck, dude, I don't know what word I'm looking for right now, but shit, I just had an absolute blank.
We had such a good conversation, man. You just don't know what to say. That's all it is.
I really don't. I mean, I just learned a lot. I learned a lot about you. I learned a lot about anime from you. And I do love and respect your work that you do at Rebel HQ and the Young Turks. I'm not very good at pitching other content creators sometimes because I'm like, I like them because of this. But if you had to tell my audience what it is you do, more generally speaking, what is it that you do?
Well, I guess in a lot of ways, like you, I've done a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm ultimately in my place in politics. I'm a political analyst. But before I started working with TYT, I started a company called Politiscope. And basically what we do is we help people connect to legislation in Congress and candidates running for office. So you can see like who voted for what bill, what that bill means. We help people donate money to campaigns, keep up with news, stuff like that.
That's awesome. I did not realize that you started that company. That's so fucking cool.
Yeah, appreciate it. So that's how I got into politics, which opened the door for me to work for TYT, like in terms of the resume. And before that, I mean, I organized music shows. I've done all types of stuff, but I work with campaigns, and basically with TYT, what I do is with Rebel HQ, that's a channel where it's really like a lot of reaction videos to stuff that's going on throughout the country. A lot of it's entertainment. But then throughout the TYT network, I co-host on a variety of their shows. So I do stuff with John Iadarola on the Damage Report, like you said. I'm on with Dr. Rashad Ritchie out of Atlanta. He's on Indisputable.
He's the coolest dude. He's the coolest dude in the world, isn't he?
Every time I turn my head, he getting an award from the White House and some shit, like, or a street named after him. Like literally, like I'm not like literally, like he's really the man. He really is.
Shout out to Dr. Richie, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah, he's cool as hell. I was on with him earlier, actually.
Yeah, you had a good take about how people go their whole lives but never get their ass about 70, 80 years old.
No, man, that's true, man. Because all of it, it's like some of what teaches us how to navigate in certain areas is because we done been beat down in some type of way, whether it's from your parents, you know what I'm saying? Or it's just from something you really shouldn't have did when you were younger, and you got thumped around a little bit in some type of way, whether that be physically or about life. But so that was the whole thing with that.
Yeah, I mean, people don't experience consequences enough for their stupid behavior.
Basically that, consequences, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I'm on with J.R. Jackson on the watch list, and then I co-host on the regular show. So in a lot of ways, I'm just kind of becoming more immersed into the political commentary space, which I think is nice because and I'm not saying that just like for me to be in it because it's been a good opportunity, but I think that as my profile continues to grow and the other types of skills that I have and other types of things I'd like to do, I think I can, without a doubt, I think I relate to people in a lot of ways that I just feel like people are comfortable with me. You know what I'm saying? Like the things that I've been through, the life I've lived, the stuff I talk about. I mean, you've seen, I talk about dating and the dating market and shit all the time. Like just general stuff we all go through. Like I'm not like a pent up, like I get fly, I get fresh. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I know how to put a suit on, but I'm just a regular person. You know what I'm saying? And I think the culture that the side of the culture that we're on, I think there's still a lot of those people that are kind of still tiptoeing their way into the political process. And I think, kind of being somebody who can relate to a little bit of everybody and also being somebody that people can follow in a lot of ways for a lot of different things. And I follow other leaders for things. You feel me? Like leaders follow leaders.
You just hit a couple of things that I absolutely love, but I think the important thing for a guy like you to remember is doing what you're doing in the political commentary space is not only raising your profile like we're talking about, it's just going to give you so many more different opportunities because yes, people will know who you are, but also they'll know that you're a pretty cool dude, like pretty easygoing. You make people feel at ease for the most part. Like there's no reason for somebody to not like you that I can see. So as you get more of those opportunities, man, you're only going to continue to ascend up the ladder in this world.
And thus being able to do a whole lot of help and a whole lot of change making, which is what I'm seeing more and more. Is it's like the more I get involved, the more I work in politics, the more like my view of everything changes in terms of like what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, how I can go about it in my place within it. You know what I mean? So like you're saying, like as I do continue to get more opportunities, you know, my plan is to give you not even just from his perspective of to just give back, but to like do with the power that I'm given. Like not just like be another jackass who's popular. You know what I'm saying?
Affect
like,
positive change, man. That's the fucking goal all the time, every time.
Exactly. You know, not just be another one of these guys who's like, oh, look at me, because that's only gonna last for so long anyway. You know what I mean? So
yeah, man.
Yeah.
This has been a really fun conversation. Jackson, where can people check out your stuff? I'll link it up in the show notes, but in case people don't like to open up the show notes, where can people find your stuff?
Oh yeah, you can check out Rebel HQ. You can just follow them on YouTube. I do videos Monday through Friday. You can follow me on Twitter, SlimFit Chacho. That's my Twitter. I don't talk as much stuff on Twitter because you know Twitter's it's not necessarily the best place to talk about much of anything. Honestly.
Cesspool, dude. I hate Twitter.
Yeah, it's really not the best place to talk about much of anything. But yeah, no, you can check me out there. And yeah, man, it's really I've had a great time talking with you. Time flew by. I think it's been a really cool conversation. And again, I really look forward to being involved in more conversations like this because, you know, it's areas like this that I think impact our lives and shape who we are in interesting ways that people overlook. You know what I mean? And this shit's cool too, man. Like this shit it's cool as hell.
Not only does it make us better people, but it also is cool as hell.
Right. It's cool as hell, man. This shit's cool. So yeah, man, I'm definitely looking forward to just continuing to build with you and doing more cool shit with you in the future.
Let's do it, man. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood or Naruto Shippuden. Those are the two that I'm gonna sample a little bit and see if I can we'll do like an arc review on one of them or something like that in the future.
All right, sounds good, man. I think you'll like both of them. Definitely Naruto Shippuden. It's as popular as it is for a reason.
You know what's
well,
funny,
let me not say that. Let me not say that because let me not say that because there's some really bad popular stuff. So.
That's true. You know, I've never really talked about Naruto on the show. 5 years, like 280-ish episodes. And so many of my listeners are going to love that we just spent a good chunk of this episode talking about Naruto, man. So thank you for making that possible for me. And if you guys enjoyed the show, make sure you rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. This one, there's a video on YouTube. If you want to go check it out, it's youtube.com/Dragon Ball. Super dope. And we'll see you next week. Jackson, appreciate you, dude. Talk soon. Yeah, we talked about Naruto today.
All right, my brother. I'll talk to you later.